won't have any of the.
Well, we have sound.
No. We'll have sound for the live. I won't have it recorded.
Are you recording now?
Are
you recording now?
you recording?
Are you recording?
No.
Do you want to record?
Yeah, after it restarts, because I.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Patrick Warburton's ready.
Yeah.
I'll tell you right now, Patrick Warburton's ready.
Is he?
Yeah, I can't do it, Patrick. I wish I could do a Patrick Warburton voice.
Like, yeah.
No, I want you to know that on your behalf. I spent the last 15 minutes making weird noises and trying to sound like Patrick Warburton.
Yeah, it's embarrassing.
It was pretty. Actually, you know what? It was actually really good though.
Fun. It was fun.
We needed it. It's like doing vocal like yar. We figured out that it's a timber thing, and then it comes up at the end. And
you have to be very specific. I can't do it. I can't. Yeah. No, it's not just a deep voice.
Note that I'm not even publicly making the attempt.
There's a lot of other things going on with his voice that I just can't repeat.
Right.
He has a very distinct voice.
He ends on a question every time.
Yeah.
He ends on a question every time. I can't.
Hey, I'm not gonna make fun of you because I can't do it. It
dawns on me it's from hanging around Seinfeld. It's Seinfeld on steroids.
Oh, maybe it is.
Maybe. I don't know.
Okay. I could get behind that. Seinfeld.
Right.
Patrick Warburton and Seinfeld on steroids.
Keep talking for a minute. I feel like we need more light. Yeah, keep talking.
More light.
We need more light. Hi,
More
guys.
light on the situation.
I forgot to move the light, and so I'm moving it now.
We don't have a show topic.
Yeah, we do.
Do we?
Yeah, there's a rule about that. We always have a show topic.
We always have a show topic.
That's a rule.
Okay.
When do I not have a show topic? When have I ever not had a show topic?
I don't know. Like.
Oh my God! You know what though? I forgot to.
I
forgot to change it.
Yeah.
You were reading it. You don't remember what the topic is.
No, I was trying to read it because I was like, what's the topic? And then
you don't remember the topic already?
No, I don't. Even though you told me like 2 seconds ago. Rules. Okay. Rules. Do you like rules?
Well, how do you feel about rules?
They're okay. I don't.
Not a fan. No.
Yeah,
Come on, just
not really.
give it to us. How do you feel about rules? Young and dumb. Can you give us a line of Young and Dumb? Can you give us any of it?
The answer is whatever. No, I don't.
Is there a line in there about breaking rules? There is. Don't you break all the rules?
I don't think I have a. I don't think. Maybe I use the word rules somewhere in there. I just gotta
break all the rules.
I gotta talk while I look up the song.
Because we're all young and fools.
We're all young and fools. Yeah.
Young and dumb and yada yada.
I'm a young fool.
Well, we all strike out, but there's some rules that we can all agree on, aren't there?
I think so.
I mean, what do you? Okay, so like.
Don't be a dick.
Don't be a dick.
No.
The no assholes rule.
Don't judge people on purpose.
Don't judge people.
Generally speaking, that's a good rule.
Okay, so I thought of where did
And when you do judge people, don't double down. Don't do that. Please, don't do that. That's even
so if you tell a bad joke and somebody slaps you, at least everybody backs down and says, "I'm really sorry. I was out of control."
Joke.
Hey,
yeah, Jane's pretty high.
So
I'll be honest. I'm listening.
So, for instance, as opposed to saying, "You look like Buckwheat's little sister Marmalade," I said, "You look like G.I. Jane." You would take that as a compliment in comparison.
No, I would not.
I just can't win with this guy. Okay, so Jane. I'm trying to be kinder. Okay. I thought instead of calling you Marmalade,
okay,
if I called you Jane, that would feel more.
For some reason, I guess I just assumed that there were worse jokes he could tell.
It felt to me like it was about.
I assumed that was one of the nicest jokes he could tell.
Well, okay.
At least in relation to that.
And jokes bomb. I don't think he. First off.
I don't think it was a bad joke.
First off, I don't think he wrote his own jokes.
Okay. I thought he was riffing.
Well, no. There's traditionally a script.
Yeah.
I'm actually kind of. I don't want to lose ourselves too much on this, but it kind of comes up when you think about rules.
I kind of just assumed...
I'm offended. You talked about my wife. Should I hit somebody?
No, you shouldn't. But I kind of just assumed that he was riffing.
Right.
Because I feel like Chris Rock is at a place where he could do that.
Well, and I'm gonna give you
and even he probably had like an outline of things that he wanted to say and bring in and talk about a couple Oscar nominees and stuff. Like,
I don't think.
I don't know.
Really? You think he wrote a whole bit?
I think he.
No, he's doing. Okay, wait a minute.
I think he riffed a little. That's my best guess.
My guess is he had no riffing involved, and that was all pre-written.
Pre-written by him or pre-written by somebody else?
By somebody else.
I doubt it. I mean, I don't know. It's the Oscars, so I don't.
Then you don't get how award shows work.
I mean,
because there's a plan.
Mm-hmm.
And really, they've done a run through. They've done a whole 9. It's not like a fake thing.
Okay.
That's not how production works in theater. You got to understand it's a theater production. The reality is, no, this was not like the first time anybody had ever seen this. This was, I call bullshit on the whole thing.
Oh, man.
No, the audience hadn't seen it. But I'm just telling you how it works. There are writers on all of those shows. Because you end up with lots of people that aren't comedians that are giving awards. So
it didn't seem like, I don't know, maybe it was just his delivery, but it didn't seem like someone wrote that for some reason.
Yeah, I don't understand where you're getting at. I don't see that at all. That's honest.
It looked to me like he riffed it.
You don't riff on award shows. That's my point. That's not how that works. That's just not how that works.
No, he wrote his stuff.
Right. And you write it way beforehand.
Yeah.
Oh. Ta-da! We have a Bentley in the house. Buddy, we are actually on the air right now.
I don't know. I just came down to say hello.
Well, hello, sir. I love you. Okay, so anyways, that's not my point. I'm not really worried about who wrote what anyways. I just thought of that. I thought of the way that it suddenly dawned on me that I know a little bit in the back of my head somewhere was thinking about, wait a minute, I know how award shows are run. This doesn't even, none of this even fits relative to reality. Anyways, the thing that I found most interesting was, so I was involved in a discussion about this thing that, for the record, everybody has discussed far too long, and here I am talking about it. But the thing that brought it up to me was, there was a friend who, growing up, dealt with a lot of bullying. He was angry at Chris Rock.
Interesting take.
Well, for attacking somebody, for bullying somebody. That was his takeaway. His takeaway was very much his experience, so he saw it through the eyes of his experience. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
The other person had been in relationships that were abusive. There was violence. Their reaction was about what Will did. They saw the violence. One person saw the bullying.
Well, my thought process is that, like,
I don't have a one of them did something right. I don't want to. I don't want to debate whether Chris thought right or wrong. My point is, what I'm trying to talk about is other people's perception of it. I'm not trying to talk about. I don't care. What I do find interesting is the way we project our perception on an experience. So we all know in the rules bullying is wrong. We all know in the rules hitting people is wrong. So we're all in agreement. I think that the discussion becomes then about our perception and our experience more than about what happened. The reason it struck a chord wasn't because it was Will and Chris.
I'm never a fan of escalating a situation.
Well, no, okay, right? No, yes, we totally agree. We've already agreed that both of these, this is not how we wanted to handle things. That's not really, we already know they broke the rules. The question that I find interesting is as other people digest things, you see their perspective. To the point that it isn't about those two people. What it's really about is people's shared experience and which part they had experienced. You know, which part they saw most blindly. You know, the person that had been bullied felt like, well, yeah, but you have to protect yourself. At some point, you have to stand up. Which is a learned lesson from being bullied. Everybody looks at you and says, no, at some point, you're going to have to stand up to your bully. Otherwise, it's never going to stop. So the lesson is almost pro-violence.
I don't think that. I don't. I don't agree with that at all.
Well, but what do you tell a kid that's being bullied?
What do you tell a kid that's being bullied? You pull the bully aside when
No. I
one-on-one
said never.
situation.
And tell him what? The kid does this?
I used to do that.
Okay.
I used to do that.
Let's
I used to get bullied.
Right.
And what I would do is, if I was getting bullied in front of people, and it was constant, first off, my first attempt was to brush it off.
Right.
My first attempt was to ignore them and not pay attention to them. If they went out of their way to make themselves be seen,
right,
I then either came back with my own joke,
right,
or I tried my best to embarrass them in some way.
What if
I didn't use physical violence. I made sure, like, I never assaulted anyone. Like,
my point is, okay, but now we're dealing with the bully that isn't just joking. I'm not talking about just I'm talking about the bully that's more than willing to hit you. I'm not talking about just words.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so now you have a guy who day after day is beating you up.
Mm-hmm.
At what point? Everybody always gives the advice, well, you're going to have to stand up. You're going to have to turn around, and you can't let them just push you around. So we're talking about physical violence. We're not just talking.
I actually had a bully that used to beat me up every day.
And how did you deal with that?
Well, I went to teachers.
Right. Never works.
Never works. The gym teacher didn't believe me, even though he was dragging me across the blacktop.
Oh, okay. Right.
And so no one really believed me that this stuff was happening. I essentially, like, I kept having conversation. I kept trying to, like, reason with this person.
Right.
And eventually what I learned was this child was at home getting beaten.
Mm-hmm. No, absolutely.
And that he thought that love was beating people.
Well,
so okay. he ended up beating me because he wanted to be friends with me, and he didn't know how to.
So, and then you talked to him, and
I talked to him,
friends.
And we talked it out, and we became friends.
Okay, and I agree wholeheartedly with this. I
don't know that that's always gonna work. I don't know that.
So I had a situation where we're talking first grade.
Okay.
One kid is not a huge kid, the other kid's a huge kid, and the other kid, when he sees him, wants to run up and grab him by the neck and throw him on the ground.
Okay.
I get it.
Right.
But okay, so you have the conversations, and you have more conversations.
Mm-hmm.
And finally, I'm looking at the school going, listen, there's no adjustment. I'm telling you that I'm going to let my child defend himself, and I'm not going to punish him if he gets...
I fully believe that the last resort is fighting.
Right.
I don't disagree that in some instances, that's the only place it can go.
Well, and so,
I don't disagree with that. There's some situations where a bully keeps coming and coming and coming, and you have to stand up for yourself.
When you're the strongest kid, but all the fat kids think they're strong. That's the reality of that situation.
Yeah,
I mean, you know who I'm talking about.
I know what you mean.
And I mean, it's so friggin' funny because as I was giving advice to this little dude that was stronger than people I know twice his age, that was pushing 75-pound cement balls and stuff, but meanwhile knows the rules.
Another piece of advice is make friends with people bigger than you. My best friend, he beat up some kids because they were trying to beat me up.
Is there a moment where we can understand Will's reaction?
No. Not in the setting,
not in
the joke, there's no reasoning I can see for Will doing that. At least there's no good reasoning in my head.
No, wait a minute though. That's not fair. That's making what happened in his head. That's stealing his perception.
You
know what I mean? I guarantee he was feeling something and we're denying that.
I believe that Will had an overly emotional reaction.
Okay. And
that what he did could have been handled very differently. Very, very differently.
No, I totally agree. But do you see his... My point is, do you see his suffering?
Yes, I see it. I understand why he did what he did.
I see that man up against a wall that I can't see. His reaction is pure and something based on trauma and something about proving his manhood was all I could come up with. Like there was a machismo thing there.
Okay, so
like I'm standing up for my family.
One thing I did see was what's his name? Charlamagne was talking about Will Smith's book, and no, hold on. In Will Smith's book, he goes in depth about how he, like growing up, he felt like a coward, and he talks about how he felt like a coward because he didn't defend his mom from his dad, and like
Exactly.
I understand that there's different things going on. I understand that there's his own personal traumas that may have led him to making that decision. I still do not, under any circumstances, think that decision was right. You know?
No one's trying to say that decision was right.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody said that.
Okay.
I thought we agreed from the beginning that what we knew was it was wrong.
Okay.
That we agreed both sides of it were wrong.
Okay.
On some level. So we don't even have to debate that.
Okay.
That's the point. I think the funny thing is what everybody agrees on is that both sides of it, there's some blame. Yeah, I mean, Will is in trouble now with the Academy, and there's a whole thing going on.
Yeah.
But I think in the end, what we're going to do is this is a great guy. I honestly believe they're friends. I think this was a weird moment. I think that if this happened at somebody's house, a week later, these guys would still be friends. That if they weren't publicly right out here, they would be talking, going, "Wow, I lost my." We've had these conversations where either of us ends up in an argument, one of us comes back going, "You know what? Yeah."
No, I can understand that. I can understand that there were other things going on in his head when he decided to walk up. Different from the joke and what was said and his wife's reaction. I understand that there was a lot more there, and it was very much a overreaction. It seemed to me like someone was at their breaking point.
Well, right. And if you look around, there's a million of those. You can see him at his breaking point, and you can see somebody not even bending.
Yeah.
So my point is, what he's going through is he doesn't feel seen. But it has nothing to do with us. I mean, the only thing that could have put him even more on edge is if they filmed it in the month of August.
Shut up. Because they're still making August jokes, even though it was filmed.
But the reality is, it wasn't Chris Rock that pushed him to his breaking point. It wasn't. He showed, okay, so back in the day when I'd run a restaurant or whatever, stop calling it a restaurant, like, oh, a restaurant.
Well, I won't say. Okay, yeah, go.
That doesn't forgive it, the behavior. That's never, okay, remember, we know they're both wrong. I'm not trying to, I don't think Chris Rock had a motivation. Either way.
I don't either.
And so to some extent I look at Chris and I'm like, dude, he was a guy that ended up in the middle of the road and a truck ran him over. That had nothing to do with him.
Yeah.
The joke hit so hard because it wasn't about freaking hair, that's for sure. You know what I mean? That it was that I'm Jada's man. I've got to prove that I'm her man. I'm standing up doing the manly thing. Because she stripped me of my manhood. And so now publicly...
I don't know the specific dynamics, but I can say that there's probably something going on.
Well, no, I'm just going based on what I've seen. I'm going based on the... she's got that wacky podcast thing she does. That's...
No, like...
That's some cringe.
Okay. I understand that Will is upset that the internet is talking crazy about him and that people are talking crazy about him.
I think he needs room to take care of whatever. You're right. I don't think it's our place.
It feels to me like if you didn't attempt to put so much out there,
Well, that's why what I'm attempting to look at is our reaction to it, as opposed to
Mhm.
I'm not judging Will or
I don't want to hate Chris. I don't want to hate Chris. I don't want to hate Will. I don't want to hate.
No,
Jake.
no, I don't.
Okay? I don't want to hate any. All three of them are cool. I don't want to hate them. I don't want to.
No,
I don't want to think. I don't want to say
think-
their way. But
Jada, I'm not a huge fan. I'm willing to say it. But that we all relate to these situations. Especially as men. We have seen both sides of this equation. Men are idiots.
no, I punched people because they said something that didn't have anything to do with them. They may not have even known the context. Of
Right,
what's
you took it
going
in a
on.
context
Yeah,
that's totally.
I've done exactly what Will has done before, but it doesn't mean that I can say that I was.
No. We always know it's wrong.
Yeah, no, I know. Sorry.
So here's the funny thing. It's
Yeah.
kind of my point, though.
Yeah.
My point. So the whole show, where's the line? What are the rules? Where are the lines we don't cross?
Yeah.
And we all go, well, yeah, but I don't know. So here we go. We give you the classroom rules. These were the rules the teacher put up. The ones that, you know what, basics. Always be kind. No, just always be kind. There's 12 of them.
Well, do unto others as you would do to yourself.
No,
I'm just joking.
don't just crush the 12. Hold on.
Okay, go.
So be kind. We're all in agreement. I think that's covered by all the major faiths, as you mentioned. In one form or another, actually, you can find it. It's said differently no matter which one.
Yeah.
But it all boils down to the gold rule. Do unto others. You know what? Be good to each other. Be respectful at all times. So don't step on other people's toes.
Yeah.
Think about the other person.
Yeah.
Don't just ooh. Classroom rules. Raise your hand to speak.
It's a bad one.
Well, but it's a nice one. Ask questions. Don't just assume. That's a good rule. Is that a rule we can agree on?
Yeah.
Be inquisitive. These are rules for life, not just the classroom.
What? What's up? What? You have a question?
That you know what the reality is that even the raising the hand thing works because eventually somebody's like, "Is there something you wanted to say?" Listen carefully. So ask questions and listen carefully. I swear that's half the battle. If you actually listen to other people with an open mind, not waiting to say what you want to say. So if you ask questions and then listen to the answers, as opposed to ask questions and then be deciding what you're going to say next, help each other. Then you have to get the crayons away, I'm assuming. But this is what they taught us in grade school.
I would like to be a contrarian asshole and say that all of that fits into what I said.
Learn from mistakes.
I'm just joking.
It doesn't. But it doesn't.
Really, you think?
Learn from your mistakes. It isn't in there.
Okay, that one doesn't fit. Yeah, I'll give you that.
But I mean, help each other. Listen. I think listen carefully. You need an extra add-on than just do unto others because people are like, eh.
Yeah.
But the reality is, people want to be listened to. It really. No, I agree. No, I actually,
that makes sense.
Stop.
Yeah.
Stop being a contrarian and realize I agree with you and quit thinking we're having a discussion
No,
where you're
I'm
wrong.
not.
I'm trying to say yes, very much. Those 6 things are covered by every faith, and that's what I was saying. I was agreeing with you that we all agree on what we need. But if you don't list it out, we always forget when we say do unto others, like, oh, so I should be nice. You want more than nice. You want people to see you for who you are. You want people to listen to you. You want people to ask you questions about what you're doing. That in the end, this is all you're right. Do unto others. But how often do you actually unravel it beyond that's right? I want people to be nice to me, and I want to be nice to them.
I get what you're saying.
That in the end, you're right. It's all covered, even to the point of raise your hand, which is, I don't want to interrupt you. Not that we're going to start raising our hands. Part of what we do is interrupt each other.
No, okay.
Well, no, it's part of the gig.
Can't
So, right.
If you don't interrupt.
If you learn from your mistakes, is the official. You know what? If you're going to pay for the lesson, you might as well learn to play piano.
Right.
You know that in the end, it's like yesterday's episode when we talk about loss. The biggest thing we can get from grief is, man, these are expensive lessons.
Yes.
We are paying dearly, or someone else has literally paid with their life
Right.
for us to learn these things.
Right.
Don't repeat those mistakes. Anybody out there, friends, family, going through questionable times and feeling the deaths in our family, please don't repeat the mistakes, the lessons that they paid so really for.
Mm.
Work quietly. You
Yeah,
know what?
that one doesn't fit.
Yeah, it does. It does.
Does it?
Sure. It really does. It fits under do unto others. It's I'm working on something here. Pay attention that you're working on, like you don't just randomly interrupt people. You make a work, like if you're sharing a space, work or play. It's giving another person room to exist. It's no, your thing isn't just more important than everything they're doing. They're working. You know, that don't just, you go, hey, you got a minute? As opposed to, so yeah, in a classroom setting, we're all sitting at a desk, taking a test. Or, you know what, don't make so much noise doing your thing.
Yeah.
That you make it hard for somebody else to do their thing.
Right.
Play safely. Wear a condom. These are basic rules for the classroom, but you can see how they extend out to everyday life. Play safely, folks. Have a good time. Fly your freak flag. Play safely.
Always have Uber.
Always have what?
Uber and Lyft.
Uber and Lyft on your phone. That's a valid point. Always be safe.
Yeah.
Wear your hard hat. Right?
Yeah.
Don't sleep with crazy women.
Wear Jimmy, man.
Jimmy on the hat. And the last one is just always do your best. Set your own bar. Every day, try and be a better you. I used to look at people and go, you know what? I understand.
That might be the only rule that doesn't fit. That's okay.
Don't you want other people? It does. You're working on a project with somebody. No. What are you hoping they're going to give to you? Their least? Their best. The problem is remembering that. Because then that means you have to give your best. See, I have a million rules in my head. I relate to today's topic endlessly. How I have dealt with being crazy for 50 years by Matt Hayes. Rules. Endless rules. Rules that I had to overcome some.
Are there any absurd rules that only make sense to you?
When considering a decision, the one person I am not allowed to include in that decision in any way is me. My bias has to be removed. And I have to identify my bias and use logic. Because there's a possibility someday I could be crazy. That if I have bipolar disorder, manic depression bringing me down, I have to be able to count on my logic and I have to be able to count on my other self. I have to be able to count on, there's a reason why Buddhism draws me in. That I have to be able to count on the part of me that looks down at the part that's going wrong and goes, that's not logical. That doesn't fit. The part that keeps me humble is my anxiety. It's a rule. I own my anxiety. That if the anxiety's there, question it. Look at it. The anxiety's there for a reason.
Right.
It doesn't mean don't do it. It means the speed bump's there to slow you down enough to look.
Right. To pay attention.
So I'm a big one for, and you've heard me say this, there are speed bumps on the road of life.
Slow down.
Slow down, you're going through a school zone, you got things to learn. And if you don't feel it, if you just miss it, if you go, that's just something in my way, I gotta power through, guaranteed you get kicked in the schnutz.
No, I thought you hit a kid, but
No, that's a schmecko blow.
it, it doesn't. Okay.
No, you're the one driving the bus, so I mean, if you run over a kid. The point is, I mean, in the sense that you're gonna wreck, and not
Yeah.
it's not guaranteed, but that's the way I had to come to terms. That's the rule I had to make to deal with anxiety. That the anxiety was meaningful. That I was denying myself the fact that the other extreme is ignore it all. That's not legit. You know, that rules of engagement. The reality is, as Chris and Will attest, we can make a million rules for ourselves. We're horrible at projecting them outside of ourselves. And the best part is, the part that will irritate us the most are our weaknesses, not the other person. It's where it hits true. We're the one that shoves the knife in, not the other person usually. That those rude comments or whatever get to us because we're afraid they might be true about some piece of something. And then when we end up in the situation, paths cross. That's where real. So everybody will see. I'll write a thing, and I don't go into the details because it would just ruin it for everybody. That the greatest opportunities arise when everybody has to walk their own path. We all have our own path to walk, but the greatest opportunities arise when paths cross. And then I say things like, "So can I share a falafel with you?" Because I would just want to share food with you and talk. Falafels are good. They're crunchy, and they're vegan.
Never had
Falafels. But anyways, the point isn't the falafel.
Sounds like bowling waffle. Anyways.
The point is, though, when you think of opportunities, what are you thinking? Opportunity, something good could happen, right? Opportunity doesn't have a good or bad. It means something could happen in this moment. Right here. If you're present in it, and now if you're present in it with this other person, something amazing could happen. Amazingly violent, amazingly good, amazingly that. So a lot then comes down to what you're perceiving in the world based on what you think. Just like when the people looked at that argument, or whatever you want to call it, on the Academy Awards, what they saw was the pieces of themselves, the part that it reminded them of. That when we come into those moments of opportunity, we're like the dog staring into a mirror if we're not careful. That what I see in the world is myself reflected back. That's what we mean when we say the only person you can really argue with
is yourself.
I'm telling you right now, the person Will Smith wanted to hit was himself. I know that's crazy, but that it's the person he's angry at. That the person that can make you the angriest and cause you to outburst is never out here. It's your internal fire, baby. Yes, you're pushing it up. Pushing it up.
Yeah,
Always do your best. But think about, okay, so you go back to the rules as a child. The ones we went through. None you disagree with, right? I mean, I get that they're streamlined versions. But as you read through them, you're like, those are good things. Should we, maybe if we sent that out at the Academy Awards with the invitation?
I think
we know these rules.
I think I learned from a young age that you have to, when you set a rule, you have to follow it. And
that's right. That's rule number one is, if
Yeah.
I make a rule for the world,
I have to follow it.
then that means I have to follow it.
I've been in situations where it made more sense to be violent, and I chose not to because I didn't believe it was an option. I used to be more violent. I stopped doing that because I realized that if I don't stop being violent, I'm either gonna hurt someone or I'm gonna hurt myself.
Right? I broke my hand. The only bone I've ever broken, other than my back, was I punched a door. I had this thing about not hitting. I don't want to hurt people. I've had a non-violent thing in my head for a long time since I was a teenager. Stories for another day. I'd punch a wall, or I'd punch a, you know.
I won't tell. I won't tell.
Just blew my hand out. Sorry.
Really?
Yeah, that's why there's a bump. There's an extra bump right here where it broke.
So like,
see that how
you
see that ridge?
So you broke it. Like,
yeah, no, I punched. Actually, you know what it was? No, it was a computer desk was the thing I punched. I was working at a large computer company that still now has a place where we get our stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I found out at the last moment that I was supposed to be in court in an hour. And I punched something, and then I went to court, and then I went to the emergency room, and they reset my hand, and I felt stupid.
Dang.
Because in the end, violence hurts you.
Yeah.
That there aren't winners, really. I mean, I get how we are. Oh, I won. Somebody's got to carry that baggage somewhere. I mean, it's not. Yeah, there's always. You know, soon I need to. Man, you need to let me do one political show. I need to talk about what everybody's really doing in the world because it's all lies. But anyways, we're like I see through the moves. They think they're playing chess and they're laughing at each other and it's just disgusting. But anyways, they don't follow the rules. Partially because they don't pay the price. They make other people pay it.
I'll tell you what, I won't tell the story of like when I decided not to be violent.
No, go ahead.
But I will tell.
Why'd you decide not to be violent?
I had an instance where I was excessively violent, and because someone else stopped me, I didn't hurt someone past what would have been.
You lost it.
Yeah, I completely lost it.
So the person was at the point where they were done and you weren't.
No, we were fighting, and I was losing, and I got angry, and I picked up something, and someone took it out of my hands, and.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and it would have gotten a lot worse for that person.
Why they might have taken it from me too if somebody could take it that easy. To be honest, sorry for the memory.
No, it was an older person.
What was your weapon of choice? What'd you pick up?
It was an ADT, son. It's pretty strong. It was pretty empty. Anyways,
I love kid fights.
No, but
I'm not. The good news is you decided you didn't want to hurt anybody. That you learned from.
No, but the when I was a lot older, I had this kid, and he kept making fun of me.
Right.
He kept calling me he kept using all these short
Marmalade.
Jokes. Trash.
Marmalade.
Garbage jokes. Okay, you weren't even funny.
So no quality to the marmalade joke.
No quality to the marmalade joke.
No listen, orange rind.
I would have wished for it. Never mind. I'm not gonna say that. I would have wished
somebody said I needed bows in my hair. Shit, I would have been all over that.
I would have wished someone had a GI Jane.
I would have shaved my hair for a GI Jane joke.
No, but
we want you to know that we love you all, no matter how much money or hair you have.
I immediately proceeded to call him Snaggletooth, and he got very angry.
Right.
And he punched me, and the other kids on the bus held him back. Right. And I was like, first off, good hit. Second of all, you look really stupid right now. Because you got really, really angry when I said one thing, even though you've been constantly saying things to me this entire day.
I'm going to tell you a secret. The bullies have the lowest self-esteem. The people that you watch and you think, oh my God, how are those people so confident? They are not. The people that have to strike out like that are the weakest people in a group. Okay. I'm not attacking anybody politically. I don't mean it that way. It's the behavior that you saw in Donald Trump. It's
a constant attack. It's an onslaught of the world.
It's a constant. Yeah. What if somebody finds out I'm not really?
Yeah. So you have to constantly posture, and you have to constantly like defend yourself. There's a difference between.
I'm not going to name any names because I've gotten in trouble before, but I know there's a world leader with a very small peepee. that is constantly attacking things.
I feel like
Plus, he's in some big argument over major transportation of lubricants.
I feel like a good marker of whether or not someone has confidence to me is whether or not they make a self-deprecating joke.
Texas tea.
No. Twisted tea?
No, Texas tea. I made a mention of the gentleman's involvement in the lubrication industry, and then I mentioned black gold, Texas tea. It's oil. Oil. The gentleman with the small PP is involved with moving oil in and out of a large country. Lubricants.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know what you're talking about.
You don't know who that is?
No.
You don't know which world leader has a small PP and is involved in selling petroleum products?
I don't know about anyone's PP but mine. So no.
Okay, so if somebody put, I don't want to get off on this.
That's what she said.
To him. But looking at you, Vlad, hoping you're putting it in good. Tiny PP.
No, but my point in telling that story was that when you
I'm sorry.
it's okay. When you stand on your principles, you will find out how strong you are.
Right?
You will find out how much of a badass you can be.
Well,
you will find. I could have gotten beat up. 100%. I could have gotten beat up.
Well,
like,
here's the lesson you learn though. Weakest argument needs the biggest gun. So if an idiot shows up and can't have a reasonable conversation,
exactly.
if you can't communicate, what you do is you show up with a bigger stick because you've got no way to say what you're saying. That your argument is so weak, that the only way you can make it is with force.
I almost feel like he was more embarrassed because he didn't get beat up by me. Because that's how most people would have handled it. They would have just beat him up and they would have been over. Well, which, by the way, I couldn't have because I was actually like a lot smaller, even though he was younger. But for some reason, young kids like to bully me. It's weird. I don't like.
Do you still get picked on by like middle school kids and stuff?
No.
I mean, I know you're.
I mean, the ones upstairs are actually pretty nice.
For those of you sending gifts, almost 19.
The ones upstairs are actually pretty nice.
Old man Ross, 19.
That's funny. The ones upstairs are pretty nice. So I don't
even middle school, dude.
Well,
see, no, I'm talking. See, that
middle schooler.
People,
I don't interact with middle schoolers. I don't know. I don't.
People like about.
I don't interact with middle schoolers.
I would avoid them. And high schoolers, because they're not mature enough yet to not pick on you. They're bigger than you are. I don't want them to hurt you.
I stopped caring about that a while ago. Like in high school, I had a good amount of like girls just laugh in my face.
Do you feel like
they were like, "Why is he here?"
It just dawns on me. But you made sure your back was covered if there were people that gave you problems. Between me, Brain and I have been there on it. There was a moment we were planning a whole thing where we were bringing together the largest humans we knew just in case. Remember? We had a whole list of who I was gonna buy shirts that literally said staff to shut people up.
I personally think adult bullies are probably the most insecure and the most like, dude, what are you doing? What are you doing right now?
Well, and how? Okay, so I mean, I'm going through the classroom rules here, and to be an adult bully, you had to get through 12 years of being told this by every. I mean, I don't think they've really changed.
I think it's almost it. I've almost lived a better life because I've been short, and I don't mean that against tall people or anything, but like I almost feel like.
You don't feel like you were shorted at all?
I don't feel like I got the short end of the stick. No.
Got shit in then, did you?
No, but like
there's a lot of sticks out there in the world, folks.
I almost feel like because I've been short my whole life, and because people that were younger than me have always felt the need to point out the fact that they're younger than me but taller than me. I just think that I've been able to like not worry about people's opinions as much.
That's a good thing. That you may. So my mom used to call it. Well, I've heard other people say put on your armor. My mom used to say you had to put on your duck oil.
Mhm.
Do you know what duck oil is?
Mhm.
So ducks secrete this oil from their gland, and the reason they're constantly and is because it helps make them float. It covers their feathers in this oil so that the water runs off instead of sinking them. The idea being, put your duck oil on, let it roll off. Here's the hard part. This is advice for anybody out there reacting to words. The second you decide that somebody saying something can make you fly off the handle, you've just given up control of your life and handed it over to the rest of the world. You're going to let them run you like a robot with whatever words. Now, don't get me wrong, you're not going to do what they want either, really. I mean, but as seen, I guarantee, as somebody that's been in those situations, that when there's an outburst like we're talking about, the person that feels the smallest wasn't the man on stage.
I thought it was hilarious at first.
At first, right, everybody thought it was a thing at first.
And then, well, no, I had a feeling it was real, but like from the very beginning, I thought it was real. But I thought it was funny at first, but then I thought, this is actually kind of sad.
Right, that
at
was
least
my
in
thought.
my head. This is actually kind of sad.
I wasn't, so a lot of people reacted angry at Will's behavior.
I wasn't necessarily angry,
feel, that's why I started off with, we know these things are wrong.
I don't want it to feel like I was coming, well, like I was trying to come down on Will.
I don't want to, but that's why at the beginning I'm like, okay, so let's just accept we know there's too much here to sort out.
Right.
We know that, okay, Chris didn't mean anything, but okay, whatever, it might have been on bad taste.
Right.
Don't have to debate it. Okay, bad taste.
Right.
This side we know don't act that way. But when I look at it and see the most pain, as much as Chris got the bitch slap, the most pain I see watching it is watching Will scream.
Yeah, dude, the first time, like,
it's an unnatural child's wail.
When I looked at his face, it felt like he didn't know what he was trying to convey. Like, he didn't know
right there.
He didn't know what he wanted to show. He didn't know what he was feeling. He was feeling so much that he couldn't figure. Like,
his glass was so full that it overflowed, and he didn't even.
Exactly.
That's the way I picture it. That whole water glass and the flow, and you're like, what just happened?
It was just pure emotion coming out, and it was an attempt at strength. There was an attempt at a show of strength, but it didn't come across that way in my head, at least.
I think by the time he's trying to figure it out, he's trying to figure out, oh my God, what have I done? Not like he's not still mad at Chris at that point, but dude, you watch him from the audience after the fact. That's gonna be a meme, first off. But I can see dude's pain. I can just straight up see dude's pain. And then when I watch the other stuff, I can see he's not dealing with it.
I almost feel like a lot of people are wondering why did people choose to console Will and not Chris?
No, I think we didn't. I think we didn't see the people that consoled Chris.
When I look, I think there's some people that
Chris goes backstage. Yeah, and Chris is immediately consoled.
Yeah, I think
there's a variety of people. I think we don't see the behind the scenes.
I also think that, like, Chris is in a very different situation. Because I almost feel like Chris is a little bit more secure in himself. Like,
I'll tell you what. No, the interesting thing.
I don't know. I could be wrong.
So one of the things I watched today was a thing on Chris's experience with bullies. And an experience where he was filming and realized that his bully was on set as one of his employees.
You're gonna have to show me this after the show.
And he took it totally in stride. But whereas the other members of the crew, he'd invite him in, they'd be playing PlayStation or Mario Kart.
Yeah, he just didn't invite that person.
Yeah. He's like, no, I didn't have to say anything.
Chris Rock has always given me the impression that he's in a very stable place with how to deal with people. For some reason. I don't know why.
I think that there's a maturity. So what I was watching was an interview with Howard Stern. And I think Chris has always shown an incredible maturity. I think that we're all human. That when I saw that, what I saw was, and then saw again when I saw it reflected in how other people saw it, was that they obviously related to the experience. They felt some mirroring of themselves in it, or they wouldn't have reacted so strongly. And really what I saw was just the wave of just suffering, the struggle all around it, and the universal nature of it. And here's Will Smith, one of the wealthiest men in the world. He really is. I mean, you look at general wealth and go, okay, how much does he have? He's got a bunch. Miserable.
The craziest part, though, is the fact that he jeopardized all of that.
That's not crazy.
Like,
that's love. No,
it's
time and again, the thing that'll hike you up is your reactions are attached to other things you're attached to. It's all really about attachments. As long as you're not attached to anything, you don't have to have rules. It's easy.
right.
But that's the point. Rules. Where's the line? You know what? Doing our thing. Oh, crap. Close the thing. Doing our thing. But I really wanted to kind of discuss the basics. That it's kind of funny. When you go through the basic rules we were taught by our teachers, what doesn't it cover? See you guys tomorrow. Thank you for watching. Great show.
Sorry for that.
Okay. No, my goal was to pull you back to, as opposed to arguing about the thing everybody's arguing about, because I don't think that's the real, you know what I mean? And in my head, the one thing we know is, yeah, okay, yeah, we're all wrong. We do bad things.
I kind of want to see that picture.
I'll have to find it. It was
Okay.
on Reddit. If you look it up, you'll find it.
Okay.
Might have, you know what? Actually, it might be on Facebook.